All right, let's dive right in. We're going to pull back the curtain on one of the internet's most fundamental magic tricks. I'm talking about how two people can agree on a secret right out in the open while everyone's listening without anyone else figuring it out. It's basically the secret handshake that secures our entire digital world.
So, let's start with a puzzle, right? Imagine this. How do you and a friend share a secret when you know for a fact that someone is listening to every single word you say? I mean, it sounds like a complete paradox, totally impossible. But what if I told you there's actually a way to do it?
You know, this puzzle, it gets right to the very heart of what modern cryptography is all about. Think about it. We live our digital lives on public networks. Every message, every email, every single purchase you make, it's all sent over channels that could, potentially be monitored. So the big question is, how do we carve out a private space in such a public world?
Okay, to make this really concrete, let's say you and a friend need to agree on a secret key for, a locked box. The catch? The only way you can talk is on a massive party line where an eavesdropper hears everything. You obviously can't just say, hey, let's use the key 123. So, what do?
I mean, it really does sound impossible, doesn't it? For centuries, if you wanted to share a secret key, you had to meet in person or use some kind of trusted courier. But then, back in the 1970s, two cryptographers came up with this brilliant, almost magical, mathematical trick to do just that.
So the secret to their whole trick, it all comes down to a concept called a one-way function. And trust me, to understand it, we don't need any complex math just yet. All we really need is, well, a little bit of paint.
Okay, so what is a one-way function? Well, to put it simply, it's any process that's super easy to do in one direction, but incredibly hard, maybe even practically impossible, to reverse.
The classic analogy here is mixing paint. It's so easy, right? You take some blue paint, you take some yellow paint, you mix them together, and boom, you get green. That's the easy part. But now, try to take that green paint and perfectly unmix it. Try to get that pure blue and pure yellow back out. Yeah, good luck with that. That right there is a one-way function in a nutshell.
All right, so let's see how this simple idea translates into the math that actually secures our internet. Mathematically, it looks something like this. This chaotic but predictable pattern is hard to work backwards from. It's based on something called the discrete logarithm problem. You see how the points are kind of scattered all over the place? Well, it's really easy to calculate where a point will land if you have the starting numbers. But if I just give you a random point on that graph, trying to figure out the original numbers that got you there is incredibly difficult. It's the exact same idea as unmixing that paint. Okay, so now that we've got this idea of a one-way function, this whole unmixing the paint thing, let's see how the magic trick actually works. It's time for the digital key exchange. The whole thing breaks down into 4 pretty simple steps. First, you agree on some public numbers. Second, you create your own private numbers. Third, you exchange the public results of your calculations. And fourth, you calculate the final shared secret. Let's walk through it.
Okay, let's look at this trick in action with 2 people. We'll call them Agath and Bert. Now remember, there's an eavesdropper listening in on everything that's public. So first up, Agath and Bert agree, out in the open on some public numbers. Think of this as their common starting paint color. In this case, they pick the numbers 13 and 2. The eavesdropper totally sees this, no problem. Now for the secret part. Agath secretly picks a private number, let's say 8, and Bert, he secretly picks 5. These are their private keys, their secret colors. They never tell anyone these numbers. Okay, next they each do some math. They use that one-way function to mix their secret number with the public ones. Agath calculates 2 to the power of her secret 8, modulo 13, which gives her 9. Bert does the same with a secret 5 and gets 6. Now they publicly exchange those results. Agath sends her 9 to Bert, and Bert sends his 6 to Agath. Our eavesdropper sees the 9 and the 6 fly by. But here's the key. Because it's a one-way function, the eavesdropper can't just look at the 9 and 6 and figure out the original secret numbers, 8 and 5. It's like trying to unmix the paint.
And now, for the really cool part, the magic. Agatha takes Bert's public number, 6, and raises it to the power of her own secret number, 8. At the same time, Bert takes Agatha's public number, 9, and raises it to the power of his secret number, 5. And, get this, they both, magically, arrive at the exact same secret key, the number 3. They just created a shared secret key right out in the open, and they never actually had to share it.
But, like any good magic trick, there's a catch. There's a vulnerability if you know where to look.
In its most basic form, this whole exchange is susceptible to something called a man-in-the-middle attack.
And our source material really puts a spotlight on this. It says, and I'm translating here, with the DH key exchange, a completely new type of attack comes into play, the man-in-the-middle attack. So what exactly is that?
So here's how a clever eavesdropper could pull it off. They don't just listen, they actively intercept the messages. So when Agatha sends her first message, she thinks it's going to Bert, but the attacker grabs it. The attacker then starts a separate key exchange with Agatha, pretending to be Bert. At the same time, they do the exact same thing to Bert, pretending to be Agatha. In the end, Agatha and Bert both think they have a secure connection with each other. But really, they each have a secure connection to the attacker, who's just sitting in the middle, reading everything.
So you might be thinking, if it can be attacked like that, why on earth do we use it? Well, because it solves one very specific, very crucial problem: sharing the key in the first place. You see, there are two main types of cryptography. There's symmetric, which is super fast, but it needs a single shared key to work. The problem is, how do you share that key safely? Then there's asymmetric, like diffie-hellman. It's slower, but it uses a public and private key pair to solve that exact key sharing problem. So what we do is, we use the slow diffie-hellman method just once to securely agree on a key, and then we use that key for the super fast symmetric encryption for the rest of the conversation. It's really the best of both worlds.
And all of this brings us to the big picture. Why does this clever piece of math from the 1970s matter to you, right now, today? Well, because it is, quite literally, the Internet's secret handshake. Look, this magic trick from the 1970s isn't just some clever puzzle.
It's a foundational pillar of the secure internet we use every single day. Every time you see that little padlock icon in your web browser, every time you send a message on a secure app, some version of this exact exchange is happening in the background, protecting your data. It's creating a secure channel for you, right out of thin air.
And that leaves us with one final and pretty crucial question. This whole magic trick works because it's based on a math problem that's really hard for the computers we have today. But what about tomorrow? In an age of quantum computing, with machines being designed to solve exactly these kinds of hard problems, how long do we have before this incredible trick becomes, well, breakable?